Hey kids, Pastor Josh. Sorry the video's a little later today. It's been busy. But I do have a story for you. Another one of the parables that Jesus told, known as the prodigal son. Now, our story begins with a family of three, a father and his two sons. Now, the father is a farmer, but a very wealthy one. Owns a lot of land, a lot of animals. He's very well off. Now, both of his boys work the farm with him. The older boy, he likes it. He likes living on the farm. He likes helping his dad with the farm work. The younger boy, however, does not. In fact, as the days go by, he wants more and more to leave the farm, go have fun in another place. So, actually, what it comes down to is one day, he goes up to his father and says, "Give me my share of the inheritance, now." Now, that might not make sense to us right now, kids, but back then, you didn't get, as in actually a lot of places nowadays, you don't get your inheritance until your parents pass away. So what the boy is basically saying to his dad is, "I wish you were dead." Ouch! Now, I'd imagine that if any of you told your dads that, you'd get in some serious trouble. But that's not what happened to the boy in our story. The father actually went and divided everything he owned in half. One half went to the older boy, the other half went to the younger. The younger boy went, sold his share of everything off, and then he went off and moved to a foreign country with all of his money. Now, in that foreign country, he made a bit of a pig out of himself, to be honest. He spent his money on food, drink, all kinds of rotten stuff. And he wasn't all that good with his money either. He was practically throwing it away. Eventually, he completely ran out of money. Now, he'd had a lot of friends back when he had money, but as soon as he didn't have anything left to spend, they told him to get lost. He ended up on the streets as a beggar. Now, eventually, he did find work, which was a good thing because a famine had come to the land. The work he found, though, was feeding pigs. Now remember, this story takes place amongst a people that don't think of very highly of pigs. Pigs are unclean animals, something that you're not supposed to touch according to Jewish law. And here this boy is having to not just feed these animals that he's not supposed to be touching, but he's actually jealous of the food they get to eat. Now, could you imagine being that hungry? Being so hungry that you want to eat pig slop? Blech! That's just nasty. That's kind of what the boy thinks to himself, too. And then he realizes, my father's servants never go hungry, and here I am starving to death. So I'm going to go home and beg my father for a job. I'm going to say, "I'm not worthy of being your son anymore, but please make me one of your servants." So he up and goes home. Now, every day, the boy's father would go out to the edge of the property and watch down the road, hoping that maybe, just maybe, his son will come down that road and come home. Day after day, he's disappointed. But one day, he goes out and watches, and he just makes out somebody coming down the road. Very poor off guy this has to be. He's wearing nothing but rags. I can practically smell him from all the way over here. And that face definitely hasn't been shaved in weeks. But then he gets a good look at this guy while he's still a pretty long ways off, and he realizes, that's my son. He doesn't even think. As soon as he sees that his son is down the road, he dashes towards him. And when he gets there, he tackles him into a great big bear hug. The boy doesn't even have a chance to do that little speech he's rehearsed about not being worthy of being his son. Before he can say anything, his dad has him back in the house, calls all the servants together and says to one servant, "You go kill the fatted calf that we've prepared for good occasions. You go get my son some fresh clothes. You draw him a bath. All the rest of you get ready, because we are going to have the biggest party you've ever seen. My boy is home." And that's exactly what they do. They throw a massive party to welcome the boy home. Then the boy can't believe it. Not only has he been welcomed back, he's been forgiven for all the rotten stuff that he's done. Now there's one guy who isn't all that happy when he hears his brother's home and getting this party. And that's the older brother. I mean, he hears that his younger brother is getting this party thrown for him, and he refuses to come in. So the boy's father goes out and asks, "Hey, what's going on here? Why won't you come in?" And the older brother says, "I've worked for you without complaint 4 years. I've done every last thing you've ever told me to do. And yet when this son of yours, who has gone and squandered half of everything you own, comes home, you throw him a party when you have not so much as given me a little goat to celebrate with my friends with." And the father looks at the son and says, "Everything I own is yours. Don't think that I love your younger brother more than you. But as far as we knew, he was dead. And yet here he is, returned to us, alive. Isn't that worth celebrating? Now come in, join the celebration." Now, that's where Jesus ends the story. We don't know what happens, but this is a very important story because this describes just about everybody's life. The father in the story represents God, and the younger brother, the one that goes off and wastes all of his money, that is us. At some point or another, we've all gone off, tried to do our own thing, turned our backs on God, and wound up in massive trouble for it. But just like in the story, when we return to God, not only does he take us back, he puts us back where we were when we were last with him. He puts us back in full favor with him, treats us like his children, as if nothing had ever happened. And all you got to do in order to get right with God again is ask him to forgive you for all the wrong you've ever done. And not only will he forgive you, but he will make you his child.